guys, Kirk from the Forever Homestead. So we're working inside the Bunkie today. Wood stove's blaring away. It's working really well. If you didn't see the video for that, you should check it out. It's cold outside today. Gave the wood stove a good workout, and when I'm working in here, it's like a t-shirt will do. So won't need to run that as hot. I think once we get the insulation on, especially up in the loft space there, this place is going to hold heat really well with this little wood stove. On this end wall, we're running the strapping horizontally because we're using old skids. We're going to put the lumber from the skids up and down on this wall. And then for the rest of it, we're running the strapping vertically. This wall, like I said, is going to be a mixture of hardwoods from skids, different colors and stuff like that. It's going to get insulated. And then this wall, and maybe that end one, we're just going to make up some like shiplap finish just by cutting some plywood down. It's going to be insulated all the way around. That end one there is actually going to stay open. We're probably going to try to screen it in a little bit so in the summer that door can be open and the breeze will just blow through here and keep it nice and cool in the summer. On the walls here, there's a little bit of electrical to go in. There's going to be a switch as you walk in. Most of these walls won't have anything. Might have something. This end wall part here, 5-6 feet up. And back, it's going to be the master bedroom, so to speak. So there isn't any electrical in there. Maybe something to plug in a phone or something like that, but probably all of that will be a charging station somewhere. On this wall, there's going to be a fridge here and a stove at that end. So there'll have to be a 110 outlet for the fridge here, and some lights. And then there's going to be indoor hot and cold running water here as well. So there'll have to be a little bit of plumbing on that wall. But I'm hoping by the end of the week, what's today? Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I'm hoping by the weekend especially, although it's Christmas weekend, so that might not work out. I'm hoping to be able to start getting some wall finishes on. Jessica's off for the Christmas holidays for, I don't know, a week or so. So we're hoping, or at least I'm hoping, that we can get the timber framing done that we want to do in here for the loft area, because then I can really push and try to get the inside done. We want to be able to stay out here in the winter sometimes, not out of necessity, but because it will be cool, especially in the middle of a snowstorm or something like that, wood stove going. So that's what we're aiming for. There is quite a bit of work up in the loft to go. Water tank, still need to build a small little wall, and a lot of insulation and stuff needs to go up there. But I'm going to get working here on the strapping, some insulation stuff, and I'll check back in with you along the way. Okay, so I've got strapping on a couple of the walls here. Got it on this wall all the way over, and most of this wall. I got to do one more piece here, and then a bit of this wall. On the end wall there, I'm actually going to do a traditional stud frame, 2-inch centers, because this part here will be closed in completely and this will be open. I'm just waiting on a load of some 2x4s for some other projects, and I just ordered a few extra to do this up. Installing this stuff is going pretty easy. These are just 2x3s, just a little bit smaller. They're more for strapping. And what I do is I'm screwing a hole, I don't know, it's probably an 1/8 of an inch hole, a little bit bigger, through the 2x4 and then right through the steel. And then I just kind of do a bigger hole to countersink the screw. I'm actually just using some leftover roofing screws, only because the regular screws, they kept snapping. It takes quite a bit of effort to drive them through the steel with the hole that I have drilled, but I don't want there to be like a lot of air gap and stuff. So that's drawing them in really tight against the tin. Originally, before I blow foamed, I was using these sparingly to attach some stuff on the inside, like when I did the door and stuff. And the reason I started to use them is because they have this gasket on it for the steel roofing. So if I drill the hole from the outside and screw it into the wood from the outside, that gasket was actually sealing up against the shipping can. I still could kind of do it, but I don't want to puncture the blow foam on the outside completely through. So by the time these, draw through the 2x4, countersunk a little bit, they're only going through this, half an inch or something like that. So they're still covered by the blow foam on the outside. Soon, as soon as I finish the strapping to about that window, I need I have like 4 more pieces to put on. Once that's on, I'm not gonna finish that yet. Hopefully, well, maybe later on today, but I want to get the insulation on this wall. I want to get the rough in for the wiring that I need on this wall, and then I can get some insulation because that's coming today as well. Do the vapor barrier all the way around to here, because then I want to finish the walls in here completely so we can do our loft timber frame structure. But I want a finished wall to be able to attach the beams to. We're not putting a lot of electrical in. It's just a small solar array that's running this kind of thing. And as far as a rental goes, you don't really need that much hydro in the middle of the summer. You barely need lights. We're adding a little bit more than I probably normally would, only because we're going to live in here for 6 or 8 months this year, and possibly again next spring if the house isn't done by the fall. So I would, we're adding a few things because I've got to upload videos. I do web design, so I need a space that I can actually plug in my laptop and things like that to be able to work. But like minimal electrical. I have an outlet there. I think I'm going to put back in our bedroom here. I think I'm going to put one in the corner here, and then we'll have one up. I think there'll be a temporary desk, like a movable desk up here. So there'll be one there and one for the fridge. That's it. So a lot of it will be 12 volt. We just need a little bit of 110 runaround. So I'm gonna finish up this stuff, and then I'll check back in with you once we start doing some electrical. So all the power tools and stuff are running off of the small solar array, the little one out there. So it's kind of nice not having to run a generator while we're working in here. at the bottom, I just drive a screw, toenail it into the subfloor instead of penetrating another hole. So not really much to it. I just put one more at the top and then finish a couple more of those, and we'll be good to start some electrical roughing. Coming along. So the Bunkie is going to run completely on the small solar array, the little 400 watt solar array that we put in. Oh, it was our first one back in August of 2017, I guess it is. 2016. Sorry, August of 2016. I'll put a link up here. So it's just a small battery bank. So this whole Bunkie, this whole little cabin is going to be run off of, for the most part, it's going to run off a 12 volt lighting, all that kind of stuff. There is going to be some AC, to run a small little fridge. And I'm thinking, well, I can have one outlet that you can plug in like a cooler or something like that. There's going to be some 12 volt outlets, but for the most part, everything's going to be 12 volt. So I bought a little control panel on eBay, I think it was. I got it for, I think it was like 20 bucks or something like that. It has like a 12 volt adapter in it, like cigarette lighter, and it also has a screen where it's going to display the voltages and stuff for the battery bank. And then all these switches. It's meant for a boat. My only downfall of it is that I can't change out the labels on the switches, but I'll come up with something for that. So anyway, I'm using I'm using some scrap barn board that would have just been turned into firewood probably. And basically this panel is going to be mounted in the center of it. So all my electrical is going to come into here. There's a conduit that comes in right at the very bottom there. And then there's a little, I've just roughed in for a 110 outlet, AC outlet. I've insulated it, vapor barriered it. It's spray foamed on the other side of it, and as well as where the conduit penetrates the side of the can. So all my electrical, 12 volt and AC, is going to come out of this little hole here. But this barn board is going to go all the way up and then across the top, and then the same distance, so this 14 or 15 inches, it's going to come down on the other side just to make everything look uniform. And then on the top there, the plate will be a continuous one that goes all the way across. And then we'll trim up the doorway to make it look nice and all that kind of stuff. But so right now I'm just getting all this in here. I'm going to run a string. Sorry, I'm going to leave this middle piece out. I'm going to run a string just like I have there. I'm going to run one up into the loft area because all of my 12 volt stuff will have to run up through there. There will be a piece coming down to a light switch box over here, but I'm just going to work away on getting that stuff in, trying to get some, just trying to get this part finished in here. So back out at the Bunkie today. I am getting a little bit of wiring done, some minor electrical, and then doing some rough-in. I started the panel for in here. It's got, I mean, it's hard to see, I think. It's got an AC side and then a DC side. So the AC, you know, it's got the main here that turns the power from the inverter. This switch here I'm going to modify as a remote switch for the inverter to turn it on from in here. And then we have one for receptacles, we'll have one for the fridge, and one for the overhead lights. I've still got to build this box out a little bit, but the panel will sit flush in that hole. And then this junction box is just to make the connections to this a little bit safer. I can red it in here and then put that in a sealed box, and then these are all soldered and heat shrinked and taped up, so it'll be nice and safe there. Right now the only receptacle is that one, but I am doing some rough-in wire for different locations around here. And the other thing I've done today is using some of the gap filler, the Great Stuff gap filler, and going around underneath where the wall for the loft sits on top of the bunkie, or on top of the shipping can. There was quite a bit of draft there. I didn't do as great of a job doing the blow foam. I should have come in here and did it as well, but I'm just doing that before we insulate. Tomorrow we have just some pink insulation that we're going to fill these cavities with and put vapor barrier and stuff up. There's still a wall that's going to be built in here, but you can still see daylight back through there, so that's got to be, I want to gap seal that with the blow foam first. Go around and make sure there's no more air gaps. I just see one right here. So I want to seal all that stuff up with the blow foam before I actually just put in some bad insulation, because the bad insulation doesn't do a good job of stopping air leaks. It's not as critical on this as it will be on the house. On this, I mean, it would be nice if, you know, we made sure that all the air gaps are taken care of, because then it'll hold heat a little bit longer. You wouldn't have to worry about things freezing all the time if you had a fire each day. Or more importantly, if you were sleeping here at night, you know, you wouldn't have to be up every hour stoking the fire. You know, just if you loaded it up before you went to bed and dampered it down, technically, if this is insulated well enough, it should hold its heat until morning. I mean, I'm sure it would be chilly by morning, but we'll see. Well, working inside another day here. Mega cold out. When I got here to the property this morning, it was minus 15, minus 16 out, minus 15 in the bunkie. Fire's been going for a few hours now, so I'm down to this, you know, sweatshirt and stuff. It's probably, you know, 6 or 7 degrees in here now. I'm not working the stove too hard right now. I was earlier today to take the cold out, but working on some electrical. I've got more of the electrical pulled in and labeled here. I drilled through the can and then put some bushings there to stop so the wires don't rub on the cut metal. There's one on both sides, so that will bring it up for the light that I cut through here with a jigsaw, mounted a box, and it also brings up the wire that's going to drop inside of this wall for the fridge and a counter light, or a counter receptacle for plugging in devices to charge, and if we ever use an induction burner or something like that in here. So I just got to mount some boxes. So a couple of receptacles, or at least moret these off. If we get the light switch on, then this light will work. We won't have to use the trouble light in here anymore. But once that's done, I'm just got to quickly run some 12-volt lighting, and then we're good to start insulating and vapor barrier. All right. Holidays are over. It's back to work. Well, it's not quite New Year's yet, but a couple days. So today I'm in the bunkie and I finished up the 110 electrical. I've got everything wired out to the panel as far as that goes. So let's see if I can show you here. So the side that's lit up here is 110, and it's got a switch that'll run or turn on all receptacles. So there's a receptacle there. This one that's sitting down there is actually going to get poked through once the porch is done. There's one in what will be the master bedroom. There's one down here for the fridge, and then there's one up here that'll be countertop for charging devices and stuff like that. I've got all the vapor barrier behind the boxes for when I get ready to insulate. On some of the receptacles, I don't have the actual receptacle on it yet. Sorry about the light. I don't have the receptacle on it yet. I'm gonna wait until it's insulated and stuff like that. I've only put receptacles on a couple of them because I'm using them right now. Oh, and I also have the overhead light hooked up. So there's a switch as you walk in to the bunkie, and then a regular 110. It's an LED bulb in it, but regular 110 light. We added that light. As a 110 just because, you know, if you come in here late at night and stuff like that, you're trying to unload. It'd be nice just to be able to dump, like turn on a bright light and dump everything. For the most part, I would imagine that 12 volt lighting that I'm going to start installing now will be the main source of lights. It is very off grid. It's only a 400 watt solar array running this, so power will definitely be limited back here. But I am going to rough in my 12 volt lighting, and then I'll check back in with you when I have all that roughed in. It won't be to its final location until there's some more walls and stuff built, but I need to get that. I need to get the 12 volt in so I can insulate the outside walls, because we need to put the finished wall on those outside walls before I can do some of the interior timber frame stuff that we're going to do. But I will check back in with you shortly. All right, so we got our rough in done. This is our bundle of wire for the 12 volt system. I think I'm going to mount a box here for it, much like this one that I use for the 110. This will be behind a panel, and then it's a short run just to wire it into this circuit box here. So I've got a line here for a 12 volt like auxiliary, like a cigarette lighter type thing for outside on the porch for plug-in coolers, things like that. That'll go beside the 110 outlet that's out there. What else do I got? I got a line here that again is going to go outside and run some lights, some 12 volt lighting on the outdoor porch when we build that. This coiled up line here will go into the ceiling of the master bedroom here when that's put on, so that's just roughed in for there. On this wall I have a rough in for another auxiliary outlet for charging up cell phone and devices like that. This line here that's hanging here, that's a rough in for the kitchen counter. There'll be a 12 volt under counter light. There's on the outside of this wall, there's also another one. There's going to be an outdoor shower on the outside of the wall, so there'll be a red light there, so if you're trying to, you know, shower at night, you're not bringing all the bugs to you. Up in the loft, it's kind of hard to see, but there's a line hanging there, and there's one right above me here, and that'll be the lighting for the loft. In the back corner, there's also a rough-in for if I decide to put in a 12 volt water pump to increase the pressure. I don't think we'll need it, but it's easy to run the wire now, so I did. Yeah, so now we're to the point now. I just need to finish up a little bit of some strapping above the window. I just noticed I should put some there, and the same with this window. So I'll get those in, and then it's time to do some insulation and some vapor barrier. But more about that next time. Until then, have a good one.